Hey guys, Mike in the Woods here. This past weekend I spent 2 nights out in the backcountry after hiking in 45 pounds of gear in really wet, rainy winter weather. Now, normally I start these trips off with the video in camp, but on the hike in, my sled broke and I had to hand carry all of my gear by hand, and it was raining, so all my gear was getting absolutely soaked. When we got to camp, it was pretty late in the day and I had to focus on helping getting the campfire set up and my shelter set up for my own safety, since I needed to dry out my gear. I had no chance to start filming until the second day, so on the first morning, that's where our story picks up.
Well, good morning. Mike in the Woods here. Just spent the first night of 2 out in the Crown Land, out in the backcountry. I would have filmed some footage yesterday, but we had a very, very terrible hike in. It was pouring rain and I did not have adequate rain gear. I tried to bring all my stuff in on a sled, but there was no snow and it was not the type of trail where a sled would have worked properly. I had to abandon my sled and hand carry everything in. Thankfully it was only a 3-kilometer hike, but oh man. 12-pound sleeping bag, 30-pound rucksack full of gear, and my pack frame saw. If I knew I was going to have to pack everything in without the sled, I would have cut down on gear a lot. But anyways, it's the first morning. It's nice and relatively dry out now. It's got a cool breeze coming in off the lake. I just checked my phone. It says it's like minus 2 degrees Celsius. Feels like -8. Met with a few other people. One of them's already up. He's off to go get some firewood and tinder. I'm finding the energy to get up and out of my sleeping bag and into the cold. A lot of my stuff is still wet, so here's some outside footage of my setup here. I decided to do my tarp in a sort of triangle shape with, I don't know if you can see there, but I have a third of my tarp serving as my ground sheet, since the ground is completely soaked from rain yesterday. It's frozen over now, but it was spongy last night with all the water coming out. And over here we got Tel and his setup. He runs the Oshawa Bushcraft channel. We got our fire pit. And up in behind there we got one of our members and some of her kids. We got someone set up over there. I'm trying to dry out my my winter coat because of how absolutely soaked it got yesterday. Man, when I say that it was absolutely pouring rain, I wasn't kidding. I almost turned around and went home and canceled the trip. Which would have meant no video for me this weekend. Nope, but made it here, got everything relatively dry, made it through the first night. Hard part's going to be hiking everything back out tomorrow, but if I can get it in, I can get it out. Alright, I'm going to do my part and try and chop up some of this wood. So far my pack frame saw seems to be holding up, even though it got absolutely soaked yesterday. At least the ground's dry now. Couldn't put anything down on the bare ground yesterday. Alright, so y'all remember the effort I went through to build this thing. It's always rough first thing in the morning when you're out camping in the winter. That's the hard part, is getting out of your sleeping bag first thing in the morning. You have no body heat being generated, and it's probably the coldest point of the day. Alright.
Alright, we're going to try this.
Yeah, when I went to bed last night, I got a little cold on my underside, I think, from some of the dampness from the sleeping bag.
Right.
As soon as that all kind of dried up, I was toasty in there all night.
fire in there.
Yeah. Instead of using a normal, almost like a normal person, 3D printed mine for this one.
You did what? Oh, you 3D.
So far it's holding up. I feel like it's a little brittle and cold, so I'm worried it might snap.
The plastic?
Yeah.
I would love to know the cumulative cost of all the material and equipment necessary to 3D print a stick.
What does Jeff Goldblum say in Jurassic Park? Spent so much time thinking about if you could that you didn't stop to think about if you should.
Yeah.
Alright, new experiment of mine.
Oh, your tactical coffee.
Granola and powdered milk.
You're just going to put a bit of water in it?
Add water, cold breakfast, and then cold coffee.
Oh, coffee sounds about divine right now.
I have hot coffee. There's days like today where I've been up for an hour and 15 minutes. Haven't eaten yet because we need a fire. I was trying to figure out cold breakfast, especially if you're on the trail. If you could eat without a fire, we could be by the car by now.
Cold soaking.
Right.
Well, enjoying some breakfast. Had my coffee. Much warmer now. Look at this view behind me. It's amazing. Get out of the way so you can see. I'll fly the drone up there shortly so you can get some aerial shots of what I'm looking at here. But right behind me, this cliff here, there's like a 100-foot drop. Here, maybe I'll take the camera off the stand there and show you. Alright, take a look at this. Alright, so cliff. Gotta be careful because I don't want to fall. That is a drop. Look at that. If I fall, I'm dead. Okay, got my drone on. I'll turn the controller on. I apologize in advance, but it is going to beep the entire time that I'm flying it. It just does that.
That's okay, man.
Alright, so it's late afternoon. It's like 2 o'clock. Everyone's all off doing something or other. Tell is filming a video for the Oshawa Bushcraft community. If you haven't checked out his channel, I'll link it down below. If you're into like more hardcore like bushcrafty type stuff from someone who's served in the army and knows their stuff, he would be a good resource for you to check out. So give him a check out. Yeah, it's warmed up to, I don't know, about 0 degrees. We're like right over the bay here, pretty high up, so there's been a wind coming in all day, and it's rather chilling. Keeping the fire going. All in all, not bad. And when I got into camp yesterday, all my stuff was wet. My sleeping bag was partially soaked. I was worried that I was not going to have a good night last night, but thankfully it was dry on the inside and it was very warm. Because that thing's rated to -30, whereas I think it only dropped down to -4 last night with a wind chill of -8 or something to that effect. That's Celsius. But we got the sun out, took my drone for a flight. It was giving me cold temperature warning and made me return to home because it was worried that the cold temperature would make the battery drop out. Probably going to be pretty relaxed with the amount of drone flying I do. I brought all 3 batteries, so it was fun hiking that in without the use of the sled. Wouldn't have done that if I had known I was just going to backpack everything in. Oh man, definitely need to do a lessons learned video out of this trip. It's been a few hard learned lessons already. Boiled up some lovely beaver dam water, made a tea out of it. Yeah, nothing too interesting to film. One of the members has their kids here, so I'm trying to limit how much I'm filming when they're around, because, you know, having kids filmed and on YouTube, kind of a sketchy thing in the first place. Not looking forward to having to hike everything out by hand tomorrow, but at least it's only a 3-kilometer hike. There's a lot of ups and downs and sketchy terrain, so the sleds were not a good idea, even if it was a lot of snow on the ground. I don't think this trail would have been good for sleds. Yeah, by the time we got into camp yesterday, we had taken a lot longer to get into camp yesterday than I would have liked, and by the time we got here, everything was soaked. We had to get a fire set up, dry out all our stuff, so I didn't have a chance to really film anything yesterday. So that's why the video only picked up as of this morning. I'm working on a end of year, kind of New Year's look back at how the channel's done over the past year, and also looking forward to what's going to happen in 2021. Things like getting the Cybertruck, if it gets delivered at the end of next year. So stay tuned for that, because that's going to be interesting. So I gotta get some clean drinking water. Well, it won't be clean, but it'll be dirty. Behind me, there's this beaver pond, and you can see where it's walled off. If you look at the water line, it's a lot higher than beyond the beaver dam. So I gotta go, there's a rock point right there. I'm gonna go to the end of that and fill up this water jug I got. I fill up this bad boy right here. I was gonna film it in first person using the GoPro, but it's a little too cold and the battery doesn't want to work. Okay, hopefully y'all can see me. Oh, there we go. There we go, 4 liters of water. Alright, this fire's died down and I'm the only one at camp. So let's see about getting it started back up again. Lots of little sticks. Yeah, this is still somewhat green wood. It's not the best wood to be burning. It was downed, but I guess it must have been fresh. So it's kind of still got some green to it, some flecks, which means it's still full of water. But that's no better off than all the other wood around here. Because when I say it's rained yesterday, it rained. Finally got to put my pack frame saw to the test, which is good. And it does a pretty good job. It's just so big that it's awkward to use, especially when you gotta grab it right by the base. Like, you'll see it flopping around in my hand here as I try and saw. Get an idea of what I mean. On the pack frame saw challenge, where I had to actually wear it into the camp, which I'll link up at the top of the screen right now. I'll actually link the whole playlist so you can watch the build, the finish, and the actual camp where I latched all my gear to it. But anyways, it's good for that, but it's way too big for a saw. The 3D printed windlass is holding up. I was worried that it was going to be a little too cold because it's only printed out of PLA, and PLA gets quite brittle when it's cold. I was worried it was going to shatter, snap. It still might, I don't know. We'll see how it holds up. It's definitely got a bit of a bend to it. Here. I don't know if you can see that. It's got a bit of a curve to it, but it's under a lot of tension. So one of our members was doing some scouting, Marty, and he spotted these 2 thunder boxes. You could see them right down there. So not only are they visible from up here on the cliff face, they're also uncomfortably close to each other. Poop buddies. Well, everyone seems to have buggered off for something or other. I'm the only one actually in the camp right now. I'm hungry. I'm gonna make something to eat. I think the last thing I had in here was water. Mr. Noodles, a campfire staple. This is fresh out of the beaver pond, so I gotta boil this and make sure it comes to a nice hearty rolling boil. Hopefully that's nice and stable there. It's kind of sitting on a random burning log. Man, it's getting really windy and really cold. Electrolytes, it's what plants crave. Hey guys, so I'm lying in bed, sat around the campfire for a while, trying to stay warm and dry. Feet are still soaked for some reason. I think it's sweat in my boots. Anyways, lying in bed in my ridiculous 12-pound sleeping bag, all nice and cozy. Zip up and sleep till morning, and then it's time to pack up and hike all my ridiculous amount of gear out of here.
Well, it's the second morning. Lights come. Time to get up and pack all this stuff up and hike out.
Alright, my lens is a little foggy, so apologies if I'm a little blurred on the camera there. I'm gonna do a time lapse of me tearing all my stuff down. Which really amounts to nothing more than just grabbing it and stuffing it in my backpack as fast as I can. Okay, all packed up. Gonna make coffee and some food. And then we all hike out of here. And Mike winds up being the slowest. So, yeah, all packed up. Good for the hike back. Just waiting on the rest of the crew to pack up their gear. It'll take about an hour and a half to hike back. It's only 3 kilometers, but I brought way too much gear because I was expecting to be able to use the sled. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you're new to the channel, much like the 3D printed components to that pack frame saw you saw me using, I try and intersperse fun futuristic technology with traditional outdoors experiences like backcountry winter bushcraft. So subscribe if you haven't already, hit the like button, and I'll catch you next video.